59.6%. That was the exact #1 algorithm gave Spain to win the World Cup final, published before either team had touched a ball. And now we know what happened. Spain won. So at first, it looks simple. The machine was right. The favorite did the job. The number held up. But that is not the interesting part. The interesting part is what that number did before the match was ever played. Because a prediction does not need to be wrong to matter. Sometimes it changes the emotional shape of a game even when it comes true. Football has seen the darker version of this before. A team walks in as the official favorite, and something changes about how they play. Not because of anything the opponent does first, but because of what they are now expected to protect. This keeps happening, decade after decade, at the biggest matches the sport has. Here is the angle. A vague reputation is one kind of weight to carry. A public, exact number is something else entirely. Because now there is a specific figure sitting out there. Not just a feeling in the stands. Not just people saying, they should win. A number. A hard public number that can be checked against reality. Go back to 1974. The Netherlands walk into the World Cup final as the team everyone expects to win, built around Johan Cruyff, and a style of play nobody else in the world was playing yet. Bookmakers and pundits alike had them as clear favourites before a ball was kicked. They score inside the first 2 minutes, before West Germany even touch the ball. Then something shifts. Instead of finishing the job, the Netherlands start passing the ball around, almost showing off, as if the win was already decided. West Germany equalise before half-time and win the final, 2-1. The better team, by most accounts, lost the biggest match of their lives, and it is remembered in Dutch football history as the final that got away. That is the obvious version of the trap. The favourite relaxes, protects the idea of superiority, and the match turns. Now watch it happen to a host nation. Portugal host the European Championship, loaded with a golden generation and a teenage Cristiano Ronaldo. In the final, their opponent is Greece, a team most bookmakers gave almost no chance before the tournament even started. Greece win, 1-0. Portugal, playing in their own stadium, in front of their own fans, lose to the team nobody expected to be there at all. Not a fluke. A pattern, now the biggest version of it. A World Cup semi-final. In Brazil, hosted by Brazil, expected to be won by Brazil, their opponent is Germany. Brazil lose, 7-1, 7 goals. In a semi-final, at home, it remains one of the most one-sided results at this stage of any World Cup. And it happened to the team almost everyone on the planet expected to reach the final. But here is the part people usually miss. The favourite does not always collapse. Sometimes the favourite wins, and that can hide the pressure even better. Because when the prediction comes true, everyone says the algorithm was right, the favourite was better. End of story. But the match still had to be played by human beings. Every pass still had to be made. Every mistake still had to be survived. Every minute still had to be managed under a number the players never asked to carry. It is easy to assume the favourite just plays normally and wins because they are better. But look closer at what changes once a team is told, specifically, that they are supposed to win. Every routine mistake stops being routine. A misplaced pass in the first 10 minutes barely means anything to a team with no expectations attached. The same misplaced pass, for a team carrying a public number like that, becomes evidence. Evidence that the algorithm might be wrong. Evidence that the favourite might be tighter than expected. Evidence that the match is not following the script. And that is where the trap begins. Not necessarily in losing, in protecting. Which brings us back to Spain. Spain walked out with that 59.6% attached to their name, published by a supercomputer, repeated by outlets covering the match. Argentina walked out with almost the opposite weight. They were chasing another title, carrying history, carrying Messi, carrying their own pressure, but in this specific prediction, they were the team given less by the machine. And that matters. Because when the machine gives you less, you have something to prove. When the machine gives you more, you have something to defend. That is not the same psychological game. Look at one player specifically. Lamine Yamal arrived at this tournament as the story everyone had already written. The next global superstar, the heir apparent, a teenager expected to announce himself on the biggest stage there is. And going into the final, he had not recorded a single goal or assist anywhere in the knockout rounds. Not a slump. Not bad form. Just a gap between the story the world attached to him months ago and what actually happened on the pitch, match after match, with everyone watching for it to close. Somewhere on that same field, Lionel Messi shared a pitch with Yamal for the first time in either of their careers. One player closing out a story everyone already knows, the other only just getting started on his, and Spain still won. That is what makes this more interesting, not less, because the question is not simply, did Spain beat Argentina? They did. The better question is, what did Spain have to beat inside the match? Did they play free? Did they play tight? Did they attack the game? Or manage the weight of being told they should win it? Because here is what is different about a number like this compared to just being called the better team. A reputation is soft. It bends depending on who is talking. A published percentage is hard. It is specific. It is public. And it invites exactly one kind of scorekeeping. Did the number hold up, or did it fail? And now, yes, it held up. But that does not mean it was weightless. That specificity is the actual pressure, not only history, not only the crowd, a cold figure, printed before kickoff, that the players never asked to carry and could not take off once it was out there. Sociologists have a name for a version of this. Robert K. Merton called it the self-fulfilling prophecy. Decades before algorithms were involved at all, a public belief about an outcome can change the behavior that helps produce that outcome. Usually people think of that as a negative thing. A team hears it should win, gets scared, tightens up, and loses. But there is another version. A team hears it should win, feels the pressure, adapts to it, survives it, and still wins. That does not make the prophecy harmless. It means the team was strong enough to carry it. Give a team a number confident enough, and some players start playing to protect it rather than build on it. Give the other team a number low enough, and they have got nothing left to protect, only something to prove. Spain's job was not just to be better than Argentina. Spain's job was to stay themselves while the whole world was measuring them against a number. And that is the real trap. A quiet, rational-looking pressure that says, you are the favorite now, so do not mess this up. Most teams do not feel that as panic. They feel it as caution. One safer pass, one slower decision. One moment where the player does not try to win the match, but tries not to be the one who loses it. That is how a number can enter a game without ever touching the ball. By the time you are watching this, the result is already known. Spain won the match. Spain won the World Cup. So the easy conclusion is, the algorithm was right. But the result alone does not answer the real question. Because a percentage does not know how to play football. It does not feel a bad first touch. It does not hear the crowd after a misplaced pass. It does not know what it is like to be 17 years old with the world already waiting for your legacy to begin. It just sits there, in public, waiting for 11 people to prove it right. And Spain did. By the time you watch this, you know the result. But the result alone doesn't answer the real question. Did Spain simply beat Argentina? Or did they survive the weight of being told they should? Because a prediction doesn't need to be wrong to matter. Sometimes it changes the match, even when it comes true. Stay with us and subscribe to Tactical Brain.